Me and my girlfriend made of mites, and another person covered in ticks. I love ticks like a person. I don't know how to express my love for ticks. They're cute like a pile of round water beads, but that expand with blood, not water. Maybe I love ticks like a cute puppy. Maybe I love ticks like I love my mom, or maybe like I love friends, or maybe like I would love a girlfriend. Sometimes when I see adults my own age who are cute like puppies, I think I'm attracted to them, but maybe I'm not. Maybe I just find them cute like a puppy. I'm so confused about how I love mites and ticks and muddled up about in what way I love things and people in general. I want to care and look after mites and ticks, and even if I'm not really attracted to mites and ticks, I still really love them like a person, or like I love my mom in an innocent way. Mites and ticks are my special interest, and through my OCD compulsions around avoiding squishing mites, I've developed a really deep emotional connection to mites and ticks. I just love them, and now I'm tearful. I actually am a bit tearful though. Camel spiders look like spiders, except they are not technically spiders. I drew a person with a camel spider's face. Camel spiders have cute, fluffy, red, chubby cheeks like my mom. Some mites may be more closely related to camel spiders than the mites are related to other mites. Camel spiders are part of my mite family, and we're all having a group hug. Palpigrates are tiny arachnids that have a long, thin, fluffy tail called the flagellum. I drew a palpigrade person with a long, thin, fluffy tail. So I've made some videos which are like parodies of these people called otherkin who think on some level, like spiritually or like mentally, they're like animals. Uh, and so one of the things these people can have is they can have like phantom wings or phantom tails and stuff like that. And that just means, so you may have heard like people who've lost legs and stuff like that, where they might have like a phantom leg where they still feel sensations as if they still had the leg. And so with other kin or like fairies, and they can feel like the sensations of having another body part. And so obviously in the past I've like parodied this and like because uh but like I think it's come back to bite me in the parodies because I've actually been getting like a phantom tail, feeling like I have a tail, which is interesting because it's not like a with like other kin. It's usually like they feel like they're a mammal and they have like a mammal's tail, or like a fairy might like have a tail. But with me, it was, I'm trying to think of it, palpigrades. Yeah. So this was like these relatives of other arachnids called palpigrades, which are just these tiny creatures, and they have this long fluffy tail. It's like they're like the squirrels of the arachnid world. They've got like a bushy, fluffy tail. And I was looking at those, and then I started feeling like I had a bushy, fluffy, well, not necessarily bushy, fluffy tail, but I felt like I had a tail stuck to me, and I could feel a sensation on like the the bottom of my back, or like yeah, as if there was a tail stuck to me or like joined onto me, like this sort of sensation. And yes, so I don't believe that I'm on some levels I'm a palpigrade, I'm an arachnid. I don't believe that I have the mind of an arachnid, or like to be specific, a palpigrade. And what I think's going on is with OCD, you can like draw attention to bodily sensations. So you might feel like this feeling on your lower back, or like not to be inappropriate, but like the base of your back or whatever, like a pressure or just like a tense feeling or something like that, as if you have a tail like a palpigrade. And yeah, so if the more you pay attention to that feeling, the more you're gonna feel it, and you're gonna like convince yourself into feeling feelings because of that, because you're paying so much attention. You're gonna notice it more, and that's gonna bring more attention to it, and the sensation's gonna get bigger. and so that sensation hasn't been bothering me too much, because obviously with OCD and like what's called like sensory motor OCD, where you can feel like sensations in your body and stuff like that. Like someone might worry, oh, is my heart gonna stop? And then they might like pay attention to the heartbeat or something. I don't do that, but I know like with my mom, if I'm giving her a hug and I can hear her heartbeat, I'll like worry, is her heart gonna stop or something like that. But like this is more like your own bodily sensations. So obviously with like OCD, if you worry you're attracted to stuff, you can have like bodily sensations which like are around that. So I'm not gonna get too inappropriate, but it can affect your groin basically, where you worry you're attracted to someone, like so say a person made of mites, and you pay so much attention to your groin area that you actually start to get sensations in it, or you actually get physical symptoms, which I'm not going to go into detail because it's probably been like I don't want to gross you out or anything like that. But you get actual symptoms in that area because you're worried about getting them symptoms, and it makes you feel like anxious or shame or like guilt, or embarrassed, or like you feel like disgusted at yourself, or like which can take the form of feeling like you're worthless. It can affect your self-esteem or like your confidence. You might feel like when you're in public you might have less confidence, so you might be low self-esteem, so you might be more like inside your head and stuff like that, and like worried about what people think. And so yeah, I don't know whether I should just actually no, because my family watched this, so I'll probably not go into too much detail about this the sense well, the symptoms in that area. But yeah, so that's one symptom which affects your groin, and then but the other one I've been getting lately is just the one where I felt like I've got a tail on like my lower back and like pressure, and that's more just, well, I guess maybe I'm feel empathy towards the palpigrades, those tiny arachnids, or maybe like sympathy, as if I am myself a palpigrade, and that comes down again to like personifying the animals, feeling like you are like the same as the animals, or even projecting your own feelings onto the animals, and that's like the basis of personification and stuff like that. So yeah, so I hope this video's been okay. It's probably a bit weird, but yeah, there's some of the sensory motor OCD themes I have when it comes to arachnids, which includes mites and palpigrades and ticks. Yep. Thanks. When I imagine having a tail, it does look like the palpigrade's tail, like the big fluffy tail or whatever. And of course, with palpigrades, the tail is like massive compared to the body. So for me, it's like you've got a big weight like on your lower back, as if it's like weighing you down and stuff like that, or I guess like irritating you, because it's a sensory thing. So obviously with my autism, sometimes sensory things can be a bit, I don't know, like overwhelming or like irritating or like yeah, something like that. And yeah, so it's interesting because in the drone, which I've had on for the last like 7 minutes or something like that, and you notice that most of them, well, like all of them apart from me, are women in the drone. And it's interesting because I seem to, most of my friends seem to be all women, which is interesting because I guess like at home I get on with my mom and sister very well, and I think obviously my dad can be a bit like emotionally and psychologically abusive, so I guess I don't really have the same relationship with him as like the rest of my family. And then obviously I went to like an all boys school, where I got bullied a lot, and it was just a very toxic environment. So maybe I don't know, maybe I just get on with women better because of like my past or whatever. I maybe feel a bit like apathetic towards other men, whereas I get on well with women. So I think that's probably why uh, there's all the women arachnids in the drawing, but at the same time, sometimes with OCD, you worry you're attracted to anything. So like you worry like, oh, why all my friends women? Am I attracted to all of them? Am I just talking to them because I'm attracted to them? Do I have some sort of ulterior motive? Am I trying to like sleep with them or something? Which obviously I'm not like trying to sleep with them, especially because most of them have like, well, actually some of them probably have partners, obviously, but obviously I wouldn't be trying to sleep with them in the first place. So, but yeah, so yeah, not trying to do that. Yeah, it's not necessarily that I don't get on as well with other men. I just find it easier to form emotional connections to other women. Palpigrades are blind, so here's a palpigrade person wearing sunglasses and using their tail as a blind person's walking stick. The arachnid person is walking on tactile bumps that you get on roads for people who are blind. Palpigrades are cute and tiny, and they're blind and vulnerable, and I want to care for them. Nobody cares about palpigrades, they're so obscure, just like nobody cares about my videos. So I want palpigrades to know that I care about them. I am not making this up. I actually feel like I have a palpigrade's tail. It's a bit irritating and annoying, but at the same time, I like palpigrades. I love them. I kind of like the idea of having a palpigrade's tail. And so I'm giving the sensation more attention, which is making it worse. I know I don't actually have a tail. I just have the sensation as if I had a tail. Palpigrades can live in caves, so I drew a palpigrade sitting on a stalagmite with other stalagmites and stalactites hanging from the ceiling. Even though I'm making palpigrades look more human than in real life, palpigrades are real animals. They're arachnids, but spiders aren't the only arachnids. Scorpions, mites, and ticks are also arachnids, and palpigrades are their own group of arachnids. I feel very isolated. I can't find anyone who has similar OCD themes to me. No one else with sensory motor OCD seems to feel like they have a tail. No one else even knows about palpigrades. I feel so isolated, different, rejected and alienated, and anxious and depressed and frustrated and annoyed. No therapist has ever been able to figure me out. I've been diagnosed as OCD for years, and other psychiatrists have confirmed the diagnoses, but the therapist isn't giving me therapy for OCD or maladaptive daydreaming. The new therapists say they're treating me for worry, not OCD. No one will diagnose me with maladaptive daydreaming, and it means I can't get any support for it. I've had 7 therapists and tried many medications, and I'm still really bad. I feel really suicidal and hopeless because at this point I've already tried everything and nothing helps. So what's actually going on with me in this tail malarkey? Well, first thing is that I'm not psychotic. I know I don't actually have a tail, and I don't believe I'm actually an animal or have the mind or spirit of an animal. I have enough insight to know it's just OCD. So how is it OCD then? Well, if you have an itch, you may focus more on the itch, and the more you focus on the itch, the more itchy you feel. The more I focus on the sensation of having a tail, the more intense the sensation gets. With OCD, you obsess about the sensation, and this feeds the OCD loop. It feels overwhelming and irritating and annoying and uncomfortable. This type of OCD is called sensory motor OCD, where you focus on bodily sensations. But it's not just OCD. With my autism, I have a special interest in microscopic arachnids. And with autism, you can personify things, which means that you can attach human-like thoughts and feelings to animals or objects. So with autism, I empathize with the arachnids and feel their sensation of having a tail as if it's my own. With OCD, you can worry about hurting or squishing tiny creatures out of morality and this causes me to feel even more empathy towards microscopic creatures and strengthens my emotional connection with them and makes me want to care for them. With maladaptive daydreaming, I daydream about microscopic arachnids, and because I have autism and personify the arachnids, I daydream about the arachnids as if they're people. Because when my autism, OCD, and maladaptive daydreaming combine, tiny arachnids are constantly on my mind, and maladaptive daydreaming amplifies your imagination, which causes me to imagine having a microscopic arachnid's tail. And then, like I've said, the OCD makes me constantly aware of the heavy feeling or pressure on my lower back as if I have a tail. And one thing to add is that with autism, you can be more aware of sensory sensations, and this makes the sensation of having a tail harder to ignore. But obviously, I don't think anyone else feels the sensation of having the tail of a microscopic arachnid, so obscure even scientists know nothing about it, which can obviously, it can feel a bit embarrassing or like alienating or isolating, just because like you can't find anyone who has a similar experience. I like doing videos about OCD, but because I constantly think about my videos, it probably makes me more aware of my OCD and makes me more aware of the sensation of having a tail. Last night I couldn't get to sleep because I was hyper aware of having the sensation of having a tail. It was really uncomfortable, and I was moving in the bed and tensing and stretching my body just to try and relieve the feeling. In the past, I have had irrational worries and intrusive thoughts about being attracted to mites and atoms and rocks. But those videos were making my OCD worse, so I stopped making those videos. But I think I should stop making this video about having a tail because it may also be making my OCD worse. I will try to stop doing this video, but when autism, OCD, maladaptive daydreaming, and depression all combine, they amplify each other, and it's seemingly impossible to stop making the video, but I will at least try. But I don't think insight alone is enough to stop though. And it's a shame, though, because I'm interested in mental health and feel like if I just made videos and stories about microscopic arachnids, people wouldn't care about them and it wouldn't give any value to society or help anyone. So by giving context to why I make videos about microscopic arachnids and how my mental health causes me to do so, people may find it more interesting and relatable if they have similar conditions. I just want my videos to be good and people to like them and for them to have some benefit.